first graders, Mrs. Adams back to draw with you again this week. I loved seeing your sunflowers. That is my favorite part of the week, is to see what you guys are working on at home. So thank you so much. Don't forget to do that again this week with our turtle. We are going to draw a turtle today together. We're going to draw a specific kind of turtle. It's called a box turtle. And box turtles you can even find in Oklahoma. They're all around Oklahoma and all over the US. And they're really kind of cool because they are the only turtles that can close up their shell completely. They have a hinge on the side of their shells that they can pull their legs and their arms and their head in and close it up tight. So if something wants to eat them for lunch, he is not getting to that turtle. So I just thought that was kind of cool, and that's why they're called box turtles. So that's what we're going to draw today. I suggest today, friends, you have your paper sideways, not up and down tall, but sideways. He's a little easier to fit on your paper that way. So we are, as always, first graders, going to start with his eyeball. Look where his eyeball is on the page. If you start your eyeball in the middle of the paper, he's going to be pretty hard to fit on unless you make him really small. If you want him bigger, I suggest you start over to the side a little bit for his eyeball. And I suggest you don't make it too big. If you make an eyeball this big, he's certainly not going to fit on your paper. So you want to start him kind of small. Okay, start that eye kind of small. So I'm going to move to the side of my paper a little ways, and I'm going to make a small curve line. That's all we're going to do for the top of his eye. And then for the bottom of the eye, we're going to go ahead and make another curve line to make it touch. Then we're going to do that artist trick. We're going to color in a dot almost. We're not going to make it totally solid. We're going to leave a little space of white showing to show that reflection off of his eye like we've talked about before. So we want him to look alive. So I'm going to leave that little bit of paper showing so that he looks more realistic, okay? Then we're going to make his nose. Now he, of course, doesn't have a nose like we do. He's got just two nostrils that are kind of set in his head. It's not sticking out nose like ours. So I'm just going to make a dot for his nostril. I'm going to look at my eye and go over just a little ways. Look at your eye on the shorter side of the paper. See how my paper's smaller on this side? That's the side I'm going to put his nostril on. I'm going to go over a little ways. Just make a little dot. That's all he has for his nose. Then I'm going to make a curve line that curves in front of that nostril. I'm going to make this little curve line. It starts just a little bit above the nostril and it curves down. So watch, I'm going to start it just a little bit in front of that nostril and go just a little bit below. That's for the front of his face. Then I'm going to curve over his eye for the top of his head. Now he doesn't have a big cone head. I'm not going to make a big bump up and down like this. It's barely going to curve over his eye and stop. So I'm going to start here, barely curve it, barely curve it, barely curve it over his eye and stop. That's all we need to do for the top of his head. Then the end of his mouth comes to, it's almost like a beak shape. He's got a little point at the end of his mouth. So I'm just going to make a little teeny tiny straight line that kind of slants up for the end of his mouth. It sort of looks like a beak. And then I'm going to make a slanted line that comes down below his eye. So watch, at the end of that beak, I'm going to slant it down below his eye and stop. Oh, I forgot. They also have a little curve line above his eye, almost like an eyebrow. It's not really an eyebrow like ours. Of course, it's just kind of a little ridge above his eye. So we'll add that extra realistic detail too. Now for his mouth, for the bottom part of his mouth, we're going to start not at the very tip of that beak mouth that we made. We're going to start in a little bit because we want that point to stick out. So not at the end, but in just a little bit. I'm going to make a curve that follows that mouth, and it's going to curve just a little bit behind it, okay? So we've got his head. Now we're going to make his neck. He's not afraid of anything right now. He's sticking his neck out, but it's not a super long neck. He's not a giraffe. It's not super long. We're just going to make a curved line from the top that curves back just a little bit, and then we're going to make a curved line that curves down. You can start it at the edge of this point right here, or you can bring it down just a little bit. And we're just going to make another curved line. Okay, so now we've got his neck, Now we need to make his shell. Of course, turtles are known for their shells. They're for protection. And like I said earlier, the box turtle can completely close up his shell and be extra safe in there. So we're going to go ahead and make his shell. We're going to start with the very bottom of the shell. I'm going to start at his neck, on that top part of his neck. And I'm going to curve it down and back. This, you guys, is about how big your turtle's going to be. So if you make it just this big, he's going to have a very small body. You might want to think about making it the size that you want your turtle. So think about it before you make this curve line. I'm going to start at the top of the neck. And I'm going to make it curve back for however big I want my turtle shell to be. Okay? Now, if your neck doesn't already touch, mine does not already touch, I need to make it just a little bit longer so that it touches, okay? Then we're gonna make the top part of the shell, but first, this is a cool detail. See on the end here, there's this little curve line coming in, okay? That's like this little ridge that bumps in on the turtle shell. Start back here at the very end, and I'm just gonna make it a little curve line like that. Then I'm gonna bring it up and curve it down and touch. So turtle shells, land turtles have a little bit more of a tall bump to their shell. Like sea turtles and turtles that are in water, so they swim a little bit better, they have more of a flat shell. So this is a land turtle, so he's got more of a bump up. So we're gonna make a bump up. I'm gonna start it curving up, however tall you want, and make it curve down and touch. Okay? Now, we're gonna go ahead and add all the detail on his shell in just a minute. Let's go ahead and finish out his body first. So I'm gonna start with his front leg. Now, turtles have pretty short legs. They're not long like giraffes. They're pretty short. And this guy loves to dig. He's got kind of thick, good digging legs to really dig in, and he likes to burrow down. He sleeps in little digging holes that he's dug. So we're gonna make his nice, strong legs. Right where the neck touches the shell. Right where the neck touches the shell, that's where I know I'm gonna start my first leg. And I'm gonna make it curve forward just a little bit and down a little bit. Not too long, okay? Don't make it way long. We're gonna make it down just a little bit. And then we're gonna make a curve line that comes over. So look, I wanna make it kind of wide. He doesn't have skinny little legs. He's got a bigger legs to hold up that shell. So kind of wide. Watch. I'm gonna start a curve line that comes over just a little ways, and then I'm gonna stop because it's gonna bend down. And to make it really realistic, not at the edge of this line, but up just a little bit. See how I'm gonna start just a little higher? I'm gonna make another line that comes down. See how it kind of cuts across? That's a little fold in his skin that makes it look really realistic. Then we're gonna just make it touch with a little curve line on the bottom. Now we're gonna add the other leg. This leg kind of looks like it's coming out of his neck. It's not, of course, it's just on the other side of his body. It just kind of looks like it's coming out of his neck, so that's where we know we're gonna start. I'm gonna move over just a little bit. This time I'm gonna make the bottom part of the leg first. So I'm gonna scooch over just a little bit. I'm gonna make a little curve line that comes forward. Then I'm gonna stop. Same thing we did here. I'm gonna make this line come down and see how it cuts across. Now look, this leg is further away, so it's gonna be shorter. Just like we've talked about before, if you remember, if something is close to you, it looks bigger, but if it's further away, it looks smaller. If your friend is right next to you in the gym, they're about your size, but if they're way across the gym, they look much smaller. Well, his leg is gonna look a little shorter because it's further away. So you're gonna make it, be sure it's a little shorter, and then we're gonna do the top part of the leg, and I'm gonna do the same thing. This time I'm just gonna curve it forward and down, and we're gonna make it touch. Okay, so we've got two legs. Now let's make the back leg. The back leg is shaped a little bit differently. So we're gonna start not at the very edge of his shell, but I'm gonna come over just a little bit, and that's where I'm gonna start this back line for my back leg. All you need to do is make this top slanted line right here real quick. So watch, I'm just gonna make it slant down and over, just like that. Then I'm gonna bring it down and forward. Again, it's not gonna be too long. I'm just gonna bring it down and forward. So watch, I'm gonna swoop it down and bring it forward. Not too long. Now, again, we don't want it super skinny. I'm just gonna move forward wherever you want the front part of the leg to be, not right next to it. We don't want it skinny, but move it over just a little bit. I'm just gonna copy what I just did. I'm just gonna make it come over and back, and then slant it forward. And then we're gonna make it touch. Now they have nice, thick, long toenails. So if you'd like to go ahead and add some toenails, they're kind of just little curve lines. You guys have drawn toenails with me before. So I'm just gonna add some curve lines. You could add 2 or 3 or 4, whatever. If yours is skinnier, you might wanna just have room for a couple. If yours is wider, you might have room for 3 or 4. It's up to you. Oh, and before I forget, the bottom part of the shell that can close up and keep them nice and tight, it is on the very bottom, and you're just gonna see a little bit of it. I'm just gonna, right in between the 2 legs, I'm gonna make a little line. I'm gonna stop, jump over, make a little line all the way back. That's gonna show the detail of the bottom part of his shell, make it even more realistic. Now, he's got a little bit of his tail sticking out the very back. It's not a super long, you know, snake tail. It's a little short tail right at the back with a curve line out, back in and touch. Now is the fun part. We're gonna add some detail. On the bottom part of his shell, the design is just a little bit different. So watch, we're gonna double that line on the bottom. I'm gonna double it all the way. And then we're just gonna make little short straight lines right in between those 2 curve lines. Okay, they're a little bit smaller along that edge. Then those same designs get a little bit bigger up here. Now these turtle shells are all divided into sections. They're plates on the turtle shell that creates that hard shell. Those plates are called scutes. So these little sections are called scutes. So we are gonna go ahead and draw our scutes, and notice how up here they are bigger than what we just drew. So a little bit wider, I'm gonna draw another curve line, and I'm gonna draw my scutes by making straight lines from right here to that curve line. I'm not going all the way through. I'm gonna stop this curve line to this curve line, then stop. This curve line to this curve line, stop. This curve line to that curve line, stop. So now we have some scutes. You might have 5 or 6 in this row. You might only have room for 2. It just depends on how big your turtle is. Then we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing up here, another curve line. And to make it very realistic, you actually don't want your scutes to all line up. I don't want just a straight line that looks like it's going all the way through. The scutes are they're called offset. They don't line up perfectly. So sort of in between here, I'm gonna make a scoot. In between here, I'm gonna make a scoot. So they don't line up, so they're a little bit different. It depends on the top. You could make, you know, a line for a scoot or not. It's up to you. What's really cool, you guys, about the box turtle is they have really cool designs on their back. And as you can see, they're not just plain boring green turtles. They have orange, they have red, they have yellow, gray, and brown, and black. They're really, really cool. So they look sort of like splatter paint shaped or blob shaped on each one of their scoots. So I want you first graders to take your time, and I want you on each and every scoot, not one big design. I want each and every scoot to have its own design. So you just kind of make, there's no right or wrong, you just kind of make wiggle lines and make a different one for your box turtle in each and every scoot. So some can be big, there might even be like a couple small ones inside. Some can be small, just wild and crazy, kind of blob-shaped patterns on each and every scoot. And the more different they are, the more realistic they're gonna be, okay? Now, let's go ahead and make sure that our turtle is not floating. So we're gonna do the horizon line. Remember the horizon line, that's where the sky touches the earth. We don't want the horizon line way down here or he's gonna look like he's floating. And we know turtles do not float. So we're gonna start it up here, friends, all the way off the paper. Remember this, we're gonna stop, jump all the way over off our page. We're not gonna draw right through our turtle. We're gonna stop, jump over. Now, I loved seeing your sunflowers last week, and some of you even did background all on your own. You didn't have any instruction for me to do background, and you did it all on your own. Let's think about some background now this week, now that we're back in the swing of things. You could add some tall grass. You guys have all done this before with me. Nobody's mowing the grass out here where this fox turtle lives in the forest, so it could be long, it could be short. You could add some rocks in the foreground. Remember what's closest to us, so towards the bottom of our page. I could add some bumpy rocks. You could add a sun. This is kind of a close-up, and notice, friends, on my picture, they're really close to the ground, so you don't necessarily see any sky. But if you would like to add sky, you sure could. Or you could, like in my photographs here, you could just have some grass sticking up all over. It's up to you. So for coloring this week, just like we talked about last week, you use what you have at home. You use the colors that you have, you use any materials you have. I know we all have something different, so you might not have the exact colors that you want, but just do your best. It's no big deal. So if you have what you need at home and you want to make it realistic, you can definitely use some orange and some red and some yellow and some black and some gray. Or if you just want a plain green turtle, it doesn't have to look like a box turtle. You could definitely do that too. But what main thing I want you to work on is coloring solidly. I did notice a few of us have sort of forgotten that Mrs. Adams expects solid coloring from first graders. So I want you to really take your time. We're not, even though we have wild and crazy designs in his scoots, we're not gonna color wild and crazy like that. We're gonna color very solid, taking our time and coloring in each and every design with whatever colors you have and whatever colors you use. I challenge you to make each design a color, and then the area around that design a different color. That is really going to make your design stand out. If I just take my gray and I color everything in like this, you don't see the designs as well. I want those cool designs on his scoots to really stand out, so I want those a different color, whatever color that is, okay? So don't forget to color in your whole turtle. You can color in your grass, and I want you to really take your time. Do not forget to take a picture of your turtle and add that attachment in our art folder, okay, so I can see it. And it's my favorite part of the week. I love seeing your artwork, my artist friends, and I hope you have a wonderful week, and we will see you back on Thursday. Bye, warriors.